We're live. Hi, and welcome to Gay Out the City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and today I am here with model, fitness instructor, Heart and Soul Awards nominee, and Fitness Awards nominee, John Paul Evans. How you doing today, sexy?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I am good. So, where are you originally from?
So I'm from Liverpool in the UK.
Yes, love that. I am actually living at home now. I'm planning on moving in a
Where are
few
you from
months.
to?
I am okay. So I'm originally from Florida. I live in the U.S.
Yeah.
and I'm planning on moving to Detroit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a little bit more affordable there. Like I'm a musician. It's a music city. I have an album that I'm planning on putting out this year, and I figured that'll be the perfect place for me to be able to live and make this album.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
yeah. So, what was it like for you growing up as a kid in Liverpool?
Ooh, I'm going to be really candid and honest about this. Quite tough, to be honest. Quite tough.
Yeah, I would say in all honesty, I kind of get. I would say honestly, for any queer kid, especially like someone who's not young, is not like of the new generation of like Generation Z.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone who was a millennial had it easy, or generations before had it easy, no matter what country you lived in. Like honestly,
yeah. It's come along a long way. There's still work to be done, but I think I come from a generation where my father would refer to gay people as weirdos. And that's actually how I came out because that tag of constantly referring to gay people in that way infuriated me so much at the age of 17 that I was like, guess what, Dad? And I remember his girlfriend behind him going, no. And I just went, I'm a weirdo. What do you think about that? And yeah, you can imagine the reception I got. Not the best.
yeah. I mean, mine. I have like the duality of things because like I had an easy coming out and yet somewhat a difficult coming out. So like as a kid, I was raised very religious. I was raised in a Catholic household, like, but I was also like, I had that side, but I also had the other side where, like, my mom introduced me to Madonna, my mom introduced me to Joan Rivers, my mom introduced me to Donna Summer. So it's like all
Yeah,
of that, but at the same time, is like all this stuff of like, you're going to hell if you do this, you're going to hell if you do that. And like, to my that affected my coming out. So to my
yeah,
coming out, I say in some ways I was fortunate because I only had to come out to one parent because I came out 4 months after my mom died. So it was only having to come out to my dad for immediate family. My dad, and then I had my older sister who was super accepting. And then fast forward to like around November of last year, my sister came out as well. So I'm like,
wow. Okay. Wow. So we have
yeah,
that in common with our mums. So I lost my mum at 13. And my
oh
mum
wow.
knew intuitively I was gay at around 10. And she asked me continually, very much an ally, also introduced me to Madonna, actually.
Yes.
How coincidental. But also, she was also a Catholic, and I'm a Catholic, and I was the good altar boy, the quiet boy, always making mum proud. And I remember I actually asked to be removed from altar service because I used to fancy the head altar boy who was 17. And I couldn't, obviously, at the age of 10, explain the reason I'm leaving is because I've got a big fat crush on the head altar boy. So it was a strange time. So I can relate to you in so many ways there.
Yeah. But okay, this is where it goes to the bad. So I came out to a youth minister at the church, and I
Yeah,
told him about this performance idea I had with like a knife and how I practiced stabbing myself because I'm dramatic, obviously.
No.
And yes. And he left the room. He came back in about 10 minutes later and he said, okay, you have one of two options. Either you're coming with me or I'm calling the cops. Now, in hindsight, I would have let him call the cops because the cops wouldn't have done anything to me.
Yeah.
But I went with him. He took me to get a psych eval
Really?
at the hospital, yeah. And they had told me I had passed it after all the tests. So I remember being on the phone with my dad and being like, yeah, come back here and get me. Like, I'm all good. And then all of a sudden I had a cop yell at me. He's like, get off the phone. I'm thinking like, what the fuck? I'm just here like minding my own business. And then they stuck me in a hospital room. And for
Wow.
5 hours, they didn't tell me anything. And
How old
then
were you at this point?
I was 18. I stupidly signed away my rights because I don't even know why. I was so confused as like all of it happened so fast.
Yeah.
So like after those 5 hours is like 2 o'clock the next morning. They told me they had put me on a suicide hold.
Wow.
And I was transported from the hospital to a behavioral clinic where they put me in for 72. I got let out in 64 because like clearly I wasn't suicidal. So it's like
Yeah.
I had to just like convince the right psychiatrist to like let me go. Because I was brought in on a weekend and like the weekend psychiatrist was like, playing with knives is dangerous. You shouldn't do that. I'm like, I know that. Like I knew what I was doing. Like
Yeah.
and then the weekday psychiatrist saw me once and he's like, you're free to go. Like there's no reason for you to be here.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't. Like I wasn't causing any trouble. Like
Yeah.
and then after that, about a week later, the youth minister and a priest got me in a room and set me up with a therapist who tried to pray the gay away. Yeah.
I think.
And I'm one of those people who looks at like the thing of there's some people who are like, oh my God, I would change all the bad things that happen in my life to wish that they'd never happen. I think the opposite way, which is as a songwriter, everything that's happened to me, like that, as I've been suicidal twice, I've been raped, I've
Yeah.
been sexually assaulted. So, like, I put all of that into this album that I'm putting out this year because it's like,
Yeah.
just a way for me to like release it out and finally like be free of
Yeah.
everything.
Turn it into art.
Yeah.
Take something painful and make it into something positive. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's what, well, I feel like that's what all creative, well, creative people always have a story, but I feel like a lot of people feel that they have to like mainstream down and like dumb down
Yeah.
their story to make it like palatable to all people. And like, so I make electronic music, but like this album has so many sounds that are like in your face. And I have no problem with the fact that the sounds are in your face and everything is intense and loud because that's my story. That's how my life was. It was loud and chaotic. And it's like now getting older, because that's the thing. I will say this. I am getting out of my 20s this year. I'm going to be turning 30 in a few months. And it's like, now upon reflection, it's like, to the suicidal twice, I thought I know it's sad to say, but like, I thought I was going to be dead by now. So, like, the fact that I'm here to tell my story, it's like, I'm gonna tell it and be raw and real and just basically say if you like it, you like it. If you don't, like
Yeah.
basically fuck off. It's my story.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's how it should be. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that about things being palatable. Is I've
Yeah.
had people in the past say to me, you're very open. Dare I say what they were hinting at as being an overshare. I don't believe that because I think that the whole ethos of my page, the Real Fitness Journal, or Real Fitness Journal as it's called, is about
Yeah.
being exactly that. Sometimes I look great, sometimes I look like dog shit. But ultimately, it's just my shell. Some days I feel internally down. Sometimes I feel amazing. It's ebb and flow of life. And if anything, it makes people realize that it's okay not to be okay all the time. Because how
Yeah.
would you know when you're having a good time or when you're happy if you never feel any elements of low in your life? Let's face it, we all
Exactly.
do, but we celebrate dullness now, which I just find really bizarre. I don't know if you're familiar with the artist Marina. She used to be called Marina in the Diamonds. She's quite big in the
Oh,
US.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm familiar. I don't know a lot of her music, but I know who she is. Yes.
yeah, she's very much of the same ethos as you. Is she's always written from a very pure place, but then I think an album before last she tried to, go with the record label, and everyone detested it because they were like, "This isn't you. This isn't raw. This isn't real. You're singing about an orange tree. We want to hear you be you." And
Exactly.
yeah, authenticity all the way.
And see, with my whole thing with that is to everyone who says, "Oh, you're quote oversharing,"
Yeah,
especially in like today's society, it's like half of you are getting fucked on OnlyFans by either your boyfriend or like some dude that you just met to like collaborate with to make all this money. It's like you're literally sitting there like getting fucked by all these people, and you're gonna tell me I'm oversharing? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
let's get real.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
Hypocrisy to the highest standard. I know.
yeah,
Like, if you can express yourself in that way, I don't judge you.
yeah.
So let me express myself. And I mean, you can't stop me expressing myself. I've got to that age now where I don't care. You either like me or you don't. I'm not here to be liked by everyone. I'm okay with that. I don't know about you.
My thing is also with that. It's like yes, overshare, but it's like this is one thing that bugged me, and I've talked about it on here a few times. Where it's like if you're my so-called friend and you have a problem with what I'm saying, have a conversation with me. Don't
Yeah.
let me find out as my friend one day I go on Instagram and all of a sudden you've unfollowed me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you have a problem with what I'm saying, if you have a problem with what I'm doing, it's like literally just talk to me because it's like, because first of all, it's like, okay, because you have to go through like so many stages and like, you have to go through like the hurt stage of like, well, you've hurt me. And then I went through this very quickly I went from like the hurt stage to like the fuck you stage within the process of like 12 hours because I'm like, you know what? It's like to that authenticity thing. It's like this person was also a musician, and I'm like, you're sitting here telling people you're the outcast. You're no longer gonna be an underwear model. You're no longer gonna be on OnlyFans. You want to be taken seriously as an artist. You tell me that in one breath on here. And then 2 months later, you're back to underwear modeling, you're back to doing OnlyFans, and say you have a quote unquote evolution. It's like, tell your fans the truth. Say, I ran out of money and I need to fucking
Yeah.
make money to survive. It's like, nobody will judge you for that. I would
Yeah.
be like, work for that. But I'm going to say, like, for me, it's like, well, with you doing that, it's like, well, I've always viewed as being an artist, I am a pure artist, meaning like some people view like doing music and do like acting as like putting on a hat and taking off a hat.
Yeah.
That's not That's not how I do things. I am like through and through. Now, granted, can
Yeah,
you go different paths? Like, yes, I'm a musician who started out doing this or started doing this to like get people to know who I am. But it's like all of this is just a way to like publicize me as a performer. Like, it's not like, oh, all of a sudden I'm supposed to just be one thing. It's not that you have to be one thing. It's just if you want to be everything, say that you're everything. Don't
yeah.
say you one thing and then do all of a sudden say that you're now another thing. But
Just own it. Just own it. Yeah,
yeah, it's like own. Yes, exactly. It's like own your body. It's like with me as a performer, I walk around half fucking naked in drag. Like, and it's like the fact that I'm not a skinny person. It's like I literally just own it. It's like, and what? Like, if you, my view is, if you don't like the way that I look, don't fucking stare at me.
yeah,
It's that simple.
yeah. Totally with you on that front. Honestly, totally with you. I mean, I like short shorts. Some people think they're uncool. I couldn't care less. I couldn't give two hoots if you don't like short shorts. I've got the pins for it. Why not? You know?
First of all, okay, I'm gonna say this again. As I said, this bitch is a fucking model. Let's get real here. It's like anyone who's judging somebody, it's like, come on now. If we're gonna start beating up on models who are okay with everyone who are just over here like living life, like honestly, a lot of the people who judge, it's like literally they're in a photo shoot. It's like, especially this weekend, it's like now half of you are walking around naked at fucking Coachella. Like, let's.
Yeah, it's true. It's
It's
true.
so true. It's like everyone's
So
like,
true.
I would never do this. I would never do that. I'm like, I'm
It's true.
sorry.
It's so true. You just say it as it is, and it is. It's just a
Yeah,
hypocrisy to the highest level, as I said before. It's like
yeah,
live and let live, live and let live. If you're not
yeah,
harming anyone else, like you say, don't look.
yeah.
Simple.
It's honestly, it's like very much, and you probably know this as somebody who says it, who's like, is not a problem to like express their life out. A lot of times when you're like that, people consider you a bitch.
Yeah,
And it's like, and it's like, and it's like, listen, baby, at least for me, I am always that person. I've literally said this publicly, and I literally mean this to anyone who's ever been on this platform. It's like, you may think I'm a bitch, but I'm the person who says, like, if ever you have a problem, like, I say this to anyone, if ever you have a problem, talk to me. I'll listen to you. Like, a real bitch wouldn't do that. A real bitch would be like, oh,
absolutely.
let's just sit you there. It's like, no, it's like, because at the end of the day, it's like, not everyone. I don't develop friendships with every person who comes here, but like I do with a lot of people, and it's like I don't want to see my friends in pain. Like who, unless you're like vindictive, who would?
Exactly.
Yeah,
No, exactly. I mean, I would definitely say for me, something that I've done over maybe particularly the last year, I've more tapped into my spiritual side and sort of currency of energy exchange. So for me,
yeah,
I mirror energy. So if you don't give me energy, I don't give you. And I said something recently, which a few people reached out to me about. I said, I know we all say that we don't give to receive. Well, I do because I'm at the age now where my time is valuable and I'm not going to waste time and energy on people who don't reciprocate. It's really that simple. So if you treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect. If you want
yeah.
honesty, I'll give you honesty. That doesn't make me nasty. You ask an honest
No,
question, I'll give you an honest answer. You know, and it's all love. It's all love. All love.
exactly. Is as I've said on here before, and this will get into my last question. I obviously have more, but it's like there are so many people who sit there and let, especially you know this because like they put it on TV. It's like you have friends who let their untalented friends go up to shows like X Factor, like American Idol, and all this stuff. Go in there to go in front of those judges and make an ass of themselves
Yeah.
on TV instead of being that friend who's like, "Babe, you don't got it. You don't got it. You don't have." And it's like, granted, you do have to be that blunt, maybe not, but it's like to sit there and just say like, as I always say, and I know this is a little bit blunt to tell people, it's like, listen, bitch, somebody will always need their dick sucked in the bathroom. Like that's, I mean, that's honestly, it's like if you don't got a talent, do that. Somebody will appreciate you for that. Like, but
Yeah.
it's this thing of I feel like so many people want to be famous, and this is me getting older. I realize it's like for me, doing music is not about fame. It's about putting out my story.
Yeah.
Because I look at people who are like quote unquote or like somewhat independent famous and like they sit there and they have their managers and like they have rooms of people sitting there trying to like push their latest songs and like to me it's like to do that like the minute I have to sit in the boardroom with somebody and they're gonna say, okay, what are we gonna do to make this song the next TikTok trend that everybody
Mhm.
wants to do? Here's what we're gonna do. Fuck off. I hate all of you. Bye bye. I'm
Yeah.
taking my music out of here, bitch. Like, I don't want to do that. And like, if you're in things for the money, it's like, granted, yes, everyone needs money to survive. I understand that. But it's like, to just sit there and like sell out. There's this one artist that I supported who like has this villain persona and like that's his whole thing as an artist. I'm like, and he's in his 30s now. And I'm like, you're in your 30s. When are people going to see the real you? Like,
Yeah.
you're not getting any younger. You're
Yeah.
getting older. And it's like, this villain shtick is going to run out. And at the end of it, you're not, and I know why they do it. They do it because they're not talented enough to do anything else.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to be a 10 out of 10 singer. Lord
Mm.
knows I'm not. I would say on a good day, I'm an 8.5. Like, but it's like with that, it's like if you can tell your story and you know how to hold a pitch, you'll survive. You don't have to be like anyone, like even like actors who are like, their goal is, I want the next role that'll get me an Oscar. You can say that when you're approached by big studios, but take those independent roles. Somebody needs to do those movies, those TV shows. And at the end of the day, supporting independent queer artists is so much better than supporting these mega corporations
Yeah.
that are essentially putting out monotonous garbage for all of us to consume.
Yeah. Yeah. Soulless. Totally
Yeah.
soulless. Yeah, I agree with this wholeheartedly. I do.
And it's like, my view is, especially with the UK, sometimes artists in America don't succeed in America, and that's why they go to the UK. One of the greatest examples is one of my favorite singers of all time, which is Anastasia.
Love.
Yes,
Love.
yes. Anastasia is one of my vocal inspirations. It's like she couldn't make it in America, so what did she do? She went over to the UK and like over to Europe and like Asia and all that, and she sells out in a way that she couldn't hear because she
Yeah.
was considered too old.
Yeah, well, she had to. She was kind of pushed down that narrative of going with a false age, wasn't she, originally? And now she's just like whatever. And I love that about her. So she was, when she was introduced in the UK, she was introduced as a mid-20s artist, but actually
Yes,
at that
she
stage she was in her early 30s.
Yeah, and it's because the music industry, especially for women, it's so ageist.
Yeah,
It's like
I agree.
if you're not young and like, granted, it's like she had a lot of competition. Like, let's get real. She came out at the same time as like Jessica Simpson, Britney Spears, Christina
Yeah,
Aguilera. She had a lot, and she was older than all of them. Like, even her fake age, like, they were all like 18, 19, and she was like 23.
yeah.
Although I think she was actually like 32, I think she
She
said.
was great too. That's yeah. I'm
Yeah,
massive, massive Anastasia fan. So yeah,
yeah, I do. And like with her, it's like, especially, she's someone who, like, I want her to come out with like new original music so bad. Like, granted, her last album, Now or Never, was okay, but it's like, probably, I remember, like, this is actually, I'm going back to the questions in a minute, I promise. But it's
no,
like, with, I remember one competition I did around here for a drag competition. I lost, but I did Staring at the Sun, which is one of my favorite songs by her. And it's like,
yeah,
I sit there and like, because I sing live, I was like performing the fuck out of that song. And because it wasn't a hit in America, I lost. But like, it's like, that song is just so, that song, Heavy on My Heart.
love.
Uh, Left Outside Alone. Sorry, I was blanking for a second. It's like all of these songs, like one day in your life is one of my favorite songs to do, like,
Same,
ever. Yeah, it's just, I do. I love it. I've always like loved doing even songs like Gaga's my favorite artist of all time, but it's like I love doing her like not so popular tracks. Like,
yeah,
granted, I'll do hits because at least for me, as a performer, I've always hated like doing 1-2 numbers. Like, I'll do it if you ask me to. I'm much better long form. It's like, if I can do an hour and a half, or I can do 45 minutes to an hour, let me do 45 minutes to an hour. Like,
yeah,
that way I can blend in some cover songs, blend it, and do my originals too. Because it's like, especially as a performer, as a musician, so many times I feel like people are afraid to do original music. And it's like, why? How are people ever going to get to know your music if you're not doing it? Like,
yeah,
it's like if you're making a set list, especially if you have to do a short set list, like, you only get 4 or 5 songs, you front load the set list with covers, you back load it with you front load the set list with originals, you back load it with covers. That way you're not letting anybody out. It's like,
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
yes, love. I will say this, yes, you have so many artists again in the UK. Anastasia, one of my other favorites is Goldfrapp.
Yes, yes,
Yes, yes,
Alison, yes. Her last album was really good, actually. We've got a label in the UK now, um, BMG, and they tend to sign the sort of, I hate using this term, but heritage artists that don't want to keep rehashing greatest hits, and they're like, I'm older, but I ain't dead, bitch. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I've still got creative flow. I've actually got a better story to tell, and because they give more freedom to the artist
yeah,
to do what they want to do, even though they have the budget of a major. it's a sort of 50-50 investment now. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You still have a team, but nothing signed off unless you agree it. And they also get to own the masters, which I think is phenomenal, which is much better.
Yes, of course. It's like, this is the thing, especially like me as an artist, like to my album, it's like for me as an artist, I wrote all the lyrics, I produced all the beats. So when I'm getting in the studio, I'm handing like a producer stuff and like a guy on the board saying like, I need help vocal producing. It's not one of my strengths. It's like at the end of the day, I'm like, here's the track. Let me go in and record. And it's like, with so many artists, especially now, it's the system of, let's make you a song. We'll make you a song and then we'll give it to you. And it's like,
Yeah.
with that, I'm like, granted, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of people I would love to work with at some point, like as producers. Like, if I got a chance to work with DJ White Shadow, if I got a chance to work with Rick Rubin, if I got a chance to work with like Diane Warren, if I got a chance to work with Esther Dean, like all these people, it's like I would do it, but it's like, I don't want you to hand me something. It's like, it's like, let me hear what you're saying. If you want to play how you feel, it's like, I can write to that. It's like, you sit there, you play a piano, you play a guitar, you sit there with a synth. A lot of artists can't do that. I'm someone who's like, and for me, this is very like hip hop of me. It's like, you play me something, I can go da 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 da, and like all of a sudden it's like just down, and it's like I've written a song, and it's like it took me 10 minutes. It's not amazing. So okay, so what made you want to become a model?
Well, do you know what? It was very much, it was something I wanted to do when I was younger.
Yeah.
So when I was more, so I suppose I had a lot more naivety and innocence when I was maybe 20 or 21. And then me being the romantic I am, I kind of got bogged down with relationships. And I then got to that point where the metabolism slowed down and the weight piled on, and I lost the confidence, and it just kind of became a sort of afterthought. And then around 6 years ago, I came out of a long-term relationship, and there was this huge bucket list of things that I felt I had not achieved because I was constantly putting men before me. And I was like, do you know what? This is the era of me. And everything and anything that I never got round to, I'm going to do it for me. And that's it. And then last year, I did my first shoot, my very first shoot. And then I did a implied nude shoot immediately after, because I thought, right, keep it going. And I've never felt so free. I've never felt so free. And I want to be that sort of, that poster guy to go, listen, I'm 41. And there's no age restriction on when you do something in life. Like, I am just like all for, I'm going to do it. If people like it, great. If they don't, great. And it's great to be, I've never felt this free, honestly. It's learning the art of discernment and not giving a fuck what anyone thinks.
What? Okay. I'm just going to take it back a minute. You're 41?
Yeah.
Honestly, work. Because, like, let's get. I will say now, I think it's the way of society for gay people overall everywhere. It's like, there is still an obsession with youth, but it's like, we're now letting older people work as models and do all this stuff. Because you think about it, if you had started at 21, by the time you got to 30, they would have aged you out.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, nowadays, and it's like, this is my thing, and I think this whole like daddy trend was something where it's like, I have always thought that certain dudes in their 40s are always hot. It's like, for me, it's like, age doesn't matter. It's like, you said 41. I honestly probably thought you were in like your early to mid 30s, like at most. Like, definitely not 41. And it's like, but that's the thing. 41, sexy as hell. And like, my thing is, at least, you're welcome. For me, in terms of a lot of standards, it's like, for me, there's different standards for different races. And it's like, white guys always have like a different standard in terms of dating, where it's like, I am a thicker bitch, and like, I primarily been with black guys because black guys are into that. And it's like, black and Latino guys have loved me at like every size that I am. And it's like, for that, it's like, what was it?
Yeah.
I think of the like, there was this comedian like in the early 2000s in America called Lisa Lampanelli, and she basically said this joke of, I could either have a hot black guy or Jared from Subway. And it's like, with that, it's like, I totally get that. It's like, for me, it's like, this is the thing that I have to say to people. It's like, yes, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to be skinny, whatever. But it's like, being like bigger doesn't mean that you're ugly.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I know that's such a pessimistic way to say that, but it's like, it's true. It's like, I know what I look like. It's like, am I the hottest person in the world? No. But like, am I ugly? Of course not. And it took me a lot of years, because it's like, you go through that insecurity of like not loving yourself. Because like you said it, like,
Yeah.
when you probably didn't love yourself when you're bigger, but it's like, sometimes it takes you embracing yourself when you're
Yeah.
bigger to like realize that, like,
Do you know what though? This is, for me, the way I am now is the byproduct, because
yeah,
it was never the main intention. So I've lost about £50 in the last 2.5 years, and that was not planned in any particular way. It was, we
right,
just come out of, the COVID times,
yeah,
the dread of COVID, and I needed to feel balanced within here and within here, more
right,
importantly than anything. And I needed to find purpose in life again. And it was a
hmm,
great time to rebuild, refocus, and really focus on what I wanted. And I needed stillness to kind of
yes,
sit with myself. And over that time period, I skilled up as a sports massage therapist and aesthetics practitioner. I started my club size classes. I've done my modelling, and because I've been more, I suppose, active and
right,
showing myself more love with being more nutritious, it's just happened. I don't do it for anyone else because I'm single. It's lovely to get a compliment, let's face it, but
yeah,
it doesn't mean you're gonna be in my bed because
yeah,
I'm so comfortable with being within myself and my friendship circle. I actually
yeah,
don't need a man. I don't need a man. And that threatens a lot of people because a lot of people are quite insecure these days and they want to feel needed. If you ain't fully yoked, don't even come near my door. I'm not interested. If you enhance my life, amazing, let's go for a coffee. But otherwise, I'm quite content in my own bubble of love, if that makes sense. I don't need to be anyone to fill me up. I'm already I'm there now, and that's been work in progress. And everything on
Yeah.
the outer shell is just a bonus to me, honestly.
See, I kind of feel that same way. I will say this, like, my view is like, I don't need a man for anything but sex. That's at least my view.
Yeah,
It's like, it's like, it's nice to be in a relationship. It's nice that I'm in a relationship now. It's like everything's good, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like I am so like independent and like headstrong, and it's like, especially for me, like being a performer, it's like I need someone who's gonna understand that, like, if I'm not like texting you constantly,
yeah,
Bevy, I'm busy. Like,
yeah,
I'm sitting out here, like, whenever I'm not doing interviews or like working on music, I'm sitting there sending emails, sending DMs, doing all this because, like, I have to book people because, like, I run everything myself. It's like, so it's like, if I do that, it's like if I'm flirting with somebody, that's not me cheating on you. That's
yeah,
how I am as a performer. If I'm making out with a backup dancer when I'm performing, I'm putting on a performance. It's not me cheating on you.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
You have a life to lead. You have a life
yeah,
of your own. We're not here to breastfeed the men.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
because first of all, yes, at the end of the day, it's like, yes, relationships are great. And like, again, I'm all like pro love. I am for this. Now, I feel like people who need to, at least from the like very beginning of their relationship, exploit the relationships of the world. It's like, it's like, in some ways, it's like, oh, that's beautiful. But it's also, it's like, ah, at some point, you're going to be broken up in a year. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I know it sounds terrible, but you can kind of see it coming sometimes, and you're like, oh, they've got the pocket dog, and oh gosh, and you just think,
yeah.
oh, I really hope this one works out for you. This is the fifth one this year. Yeah,
I mean, it is. It's like, baby, you're just exposing the world to your man. It's like,
yeah,
at the end of the day, it's like, it's for me, it's like, but especially when you're doing that as like for content creation and for OnlyFans, it's like that's not going to be enough for people at some point. They're
that's
going
a
to want you
business
to bring,
transaction, not a relationship. I'm sorry to
yeah,
say it.
they're
Cancel
going
me, but
so yeah, so then you're going to have to bring in this one and that one. And it's like, now all of a sudden you're sitting there and it's like,
yeah. What have you been up to, babe? Well, what do you think of me? I mean, you know
yes,
what? Each to their own. But
yes,
for me, I don't mix my porridge. I don't share my mind.
yeah,
But each to their own. If you're polyamorous, if you're not, if
yeah,
you're a rat, then yeah, go to hell. But
yes,
I just think live and let live. But it's not for me. It's like I always say. I get a lot of couples reaching out to me on dating sites, and it just sends me west. And I'm like, my name isn't Love Honey. I am not here for your disposal. I value myself way more than that. And so your boyfriend gets all the dinners, the gifts, the hugs
yeah.
at bedtime. And what do I get? A sub up? I do not think so. You ain't coming near heaven's gates if you ain't going to put the effort in. Not a chance. I know what I'm worth. And I'm
See,
worth more than that. And your partner put together. Let's be real.
that is so true. And it's like, I've never been in that experience, but it's like, especially, I will say this, like going back to being someone who's been raped, that's how I lost my virginity. So it's like,
Yeah.
with that, I always say to people, you end up one of two ways when that happens to you. You
Yeah.
either become a prude and you like extremely are like uptight to sex, or you sleep with the entire world because you feel like you're not valued as more than
It's
just
sad,
like a
though,
sex.
isn't it? It's
And
sad.
and
It
that's
is.
how and that's how I was. It's like, that's why through like my
Yeah.
20s, it's like, yes, I was in relationships, but I was always in open relationships. And it's like, I didn't value myself. It's like,
Yeah.
I wanted people to like stare at me. I wanted that attention so much. It's like, you want to be like in your 20s, you want to be fuckable for everybody. It's like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like, I think I was when I turned like 28, like 29, I'm like, I don't like this. Like,
Yeah.
it's like hookups are fine once in a while, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like everything's so transactional. It's like unless you have a friends with benefits, it's like you're not really talking. You're kind of just like there to do whatever you want. You've already discussed everything. You just like fuck each other, and then like at the end of the day, you just feel so empty when you're
I
done.
agree. And this is exactly why, I mean, I know people who are watching right now might think, what does he know? Has he even had an open relationship? Answer for that one, yes, I've had two of them. So you can't say, well, maybe it was just a bad experience. It's not that it was a good or a bad experience. I don't put it down to, I don't believe in good and bad anyway. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
right.
That's something I practice. Everything's an experience, but it wasn't for me. I want something a little more emotionally intellectual at this point because I actually would say I identify as a demisexual. So, you know what? Yes, I can be an absolute, I can be a right sasspot in bed. Yes, of course I can.
Yeah.
Do I know my way around the bedroom? Yes.
Yes.
But is that what I want and is that what I desire? No, not really. Um, do I really get like, like sort of like hot under the collar over someone really connecting with me? Absolutely. I love that kind of mystique. It's like you say, it's very transactional. Like without sounding arrogant, because I'm not, I'm just being self-aware. I know I could go out tonight and I could pull multiple times, but that would make me feel like absolute crap. That make me feel rubbish. So why? Who's it benefiting, me or them? Evidently them. So I'm quite content the way I am. And when I get that feeling, when it happens, then it happens. Do you know what I mean? But for now, pretty
Yeah.
content. Yeah.
And there's something like when some people say it's like there's something wrong, it's like, especially you're in the modeling industry. It's like when you're in an industry where you're so sexualized as it is,
Yeah.
it almost makes you, this is what I've heard from people. It almost makes you feel less like sexual in your personal life because it's like when
Yes.
everyone's just like staring at you, like,
Yeah. Desensitizes you almost from it. You
yes.
almost switch off. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like with that, it's like that's why some people are like porn. Well, first of all, some people are like, oh, porn is so hot, OnlyFans is so hot. I'd love to do that. It's like, first of all, to all the young, naive 18, 19, 20-year-old something who thinks that anything having to do with porn or OnlyFans is having to do with romance. You're fucking stupid. I have no problem telling you that. It's like, that's
Yeah.
blunt as fuck, but it's like, there is nothing. It's like, it's work. It's like being
Yeah.
a go-go dancer, being a stripper, it's work. It's not just like,
Yeah.
it's fun. It looks fun for people. It's like being a performer is fun, but it's like at the end of the day, you get bogged down eventually. And it's like,
Yeah.
especially in an industry where people sexualize you and like in those performer aspects, I wouldn't say so much modeling, but in those performer aspects, you have motherfuckers treating you any way that they want. And it's like, at the end of the day, they almost don't view you as a human. They view you as an object.
Object. Absolutely. Agree. You couldn't have
Yeah.
put it better. You couldn't have put
Yeah.
that better. And that's something that I just totally, I detest that. especially, when I say, like, I've got so much more to offer than this, because guess what? I work in aesthetics, but there's only so many needles and fillers and Botox I can put in this face, because ultimately we all grow old. You know,
Yes.
I don't want
Yes.
to be an Easter egg. I call it the Easter egg effect. And the Easter egg effect, right, is
Yeah.
it's delicious on the outside, but it's hollow on the inside. And there's so much of that seems to be celebrated at the moment. And I'm like, what is it? What is your actual talent other than being good looking? Because that alone is not, for me, that's not enough. You can become instantly ugly to me if your attitude stinks and you've got nothing behind the eyes, or you're just arrogant. I cannot deal with arrogance. I love confidence, but there's a fine line.
It's for me, I've come across a lot of that in this interviewing medium. It's like you
Yeah.
come across people who are like, "Oh, I hope you don't mind paying my $100, what $1,000 like interviewing fee." And it's like at some point, especially people on reality TV, it's like, bitch, a year ago nobody knew who the fuck you were. And like
And they
so
probably won't
now
be here.
yeah. And it's like, so now you're gonna tell me I have to pay you money to come on here and talk to me? Fuck off. I'm not interested. Like,
Yeah, agree.
yeah. It's just to me, it's like that it's like granted, as a performer, as I always say, going back to go-go boys and strippers, you have to act like that on stage. The reason for that, you have to act like extremely arrogant on stage, because if you don't, that lets people go in and think, oh, I can grab this dancer's dick. Oh, I can stick my fingers in this dancer's ass, and it's like perfectly fine. And it's like
Yeah, yeah. It's a
at the end of
character. It's a
yeah,
character. Yeah.
it's a character, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'm sorry, would you want someone to do that to you?
Yeah, yeah. Now, and I'm all for that. Is you've got to protect yourself
Yeah,
100%. I think where it becomes an issue is when that character forgets to switch itself off and then just becomes a total arse. Because I think, if you were to look at some of my pictures, you might think that I'm arrogant, but I'm actually far from it. It's everything I do in my career and in my life generally is to empower. I love to empower other people. I want people to be able to look at stuff I do and go, he can do it. And he's 41, so can fucking I, so can I. And that's what that turns me on. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? That gives
yes.
that turns me on. Not
This is
sexually,
what,
but you know what I mean? That gives me a
yes,
buzz. That gives me a
yes,
buzz. That's what I thrive on.
right. This is what I'm gonna say to anyone who thinks that Jean Paul is like extremely arrogant. Here's my response to that. Nobody who's like over arrogant would sit here and talk to me, because like they want to be those people who like have the millions of viewers, the thousands of viewers, and it's like, especially those interviewers. I'm gonna be real. I like some of them, but a lot of them fucking suck, because they're putting on a character that they're putting on a character. They're putting on a character, and it's like all they want to do is like, especially me. I've gotten people here from the porn industry.
Yeah.
I don't ask them just things about what it was like for them to get their own flesh jack toy, for them to get their own dildo. It's like you're
Yeah.
you're getting there. You're putting these people down. You're getting them there for a half an hour and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
Why not ask them about who they are? And
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
that's what I did with like. So there is this porn star in America who I've interviewed. His name is Ricky Roman. I love him. He's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And like we like really clicked. At least we really clicked on his first interview. And when I asked him to come back, he's like, I'm going through something right now. And I'm like, listen, baby, I will always be here for you. Because, like, to that thing about that compassion, like, you're no longer just the person who I've like fantasized about.
Yeah.
We had a connection. You're my friend. Like, of course I want the best for you. And it's like, but if I hadn't done that thing of let's break you down, let's ask you about your life,
Yeah.
let's get to know the real you. It's like, yes, you could do a mix and match, but just this thing of, oh, what you're doing with this. It's like, I always say there are so many people who focus on the now. I focus on what I call introspective interviewing, which is like, I want to see the person as a whole. Like,
Yeah.
and that to me, I don't know if that's like the best way to go things or for me to be so vulnerable with guests is necessarily the best thing. I think it works.
I
But
do.
that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to know where someone's come from to where they are.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Instead of like just this, you're promoting this project. It's like, okay, but you're promoting that now, but it's like, especially with like musicians, it's like, what are you working on as we speak? Because it's like, yes, you're out here promoting this single, but it's like, especially me, like as I say, like for example, like I'm planning on putting out an album this year. I've already written an EP that can come out like right after it, like
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've been in some ways I've been very isolated recently, and like that's why I've wanted to move and like feeling so uncomfortable where I'm at. As I always say, if you feel uncomfortable where you're at and you're planning on moving, that's how you have to feel because it's like that'll motivate you to go. If you're
Yeah.
comfortable where you are, you're not going to move away.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable, I think, if you want to
Absolutely.
progress. Cliche, but true.
Yeah.
So true.
So true. So, okay, where am I? Oh, so what was it like for you on your first shoot?
First one, I think I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue. I turned up with a suitcase with an array of outfits. I was quite awkward at first, and but I had a great photographer. Luckily, in terms of like artistic direction, I was very like looking for his reassurance, and I was like, "Is this okay? Is this okay?" And it's like, "Do we need to tilt the head a bit more?" But you know what? I just felt like for me, the best way to learn is to jump in at the deep end. And he was like, "Do you want to stop for a hot drink or anything like that?" I went, "No, no, no, let's keep going because that's my work ethos. If I'm in work mode, I'm in work mode." And then we actually got some absolutely beautiful pictures in the end. I mean, the first set, and I'm sure you wouldn't mind me saying, not on his
Yeah.
part, they were hideous. And but that's like any form of art. Any artist can tell you they've wrote some terrible songs, but they've had to write 10 terrible songs to write one good chorus. That's the way it is. And
Mm-hmm.
it didn't really make sense to me properly till the second shoot. So I think anyone who's thinking about doing it, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
The worst thing is you're going to get a couple of pictures in your outtakes where one of your eyes is like this. So what? So what? Just do it. It's getting out
Exactly.
the mind and into the body. For me, it's just like just throw yourself in. What's going to happen? What's the worst thing that happens? You get a few bad pictures. So what?
Yeah. The I will say I always first of all I get that uncomfortable thing because to my start as a musician, like most drag queens get started in the gay clubs with their friends and they're like all kikiing there and like there to like make money. I
Yeah,
started out performing at open mic nights and straight bars. So like I would be the one bitch doing electronic music among a bunch of other guys who are sitting there with their guitar, basically all doing the same sets. And
yeah,
I used to bring that energy and like some people would be like get on there like calm and be like, "Oh, how you doing tonight?" I'd be like, "How you doing tonight?" Like just getting there, like bringing the energy into the room. And it's like, I love that way of performing. It's like, with that thing that you said to that work ethic, it's like, that's how I'm going to be with my album too. It's like, granted, yes, I'll probably drink some tea to like help my throat. But at the end of the day, it's like, let's bang these songs out. I'm paying for the studio time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and like take this shit forever. Like, I'm planning on recording my album in like 2 months, like 2-3 months. And like, for me, there's some artists out there that are like, even independent artists that are like, they've started in January and they're planning on releasing their album at the same time as I am. And I'm like, so let me get this straight. It's going to take you 6 months. Like, my first thought is like, are you not the one paying for the studio time? Like,
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
you rich? Are you rich? Like, are you made of money? Like, how could you sit there? Like, I don't know. I'm very much, I understand that work ethic thing. It's like, I am, especially like being a performer, it's like, I'm the person who, like, I show up on time. Like, I'm not late because, like, this is my view. It's like, if you're late as a performer, if you're late as a model, they will eventually, like, you will get around that you're known as being late, and then people won't want to work with you.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. We're all just, you know, we're all just disposable to a degree in the industries, unfortunately. And again, even just, I don't know about you, but for me, internally, if you like, is I like to remove as many stress factors as I can so I can enjoy the art of what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, some of the best work comes from low moments. I'm a big believer in this too. No one likes an album when someone's just got married. We all love them divorce albums, you know. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if I know I've got a shoot, I will be there early. I will have extra outfits just in case. And you actually find sometimes there's things that weren't part of the plan that you flung into. Just like you might be able to relate with this, you come up with a middle eight or a chorus that you think was absolute pap. And then you're like, no, this is actually fucking genius. They're sometimes the best pieces of creative in the end.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. Like, especially for this album, like, there's some songs that I wrote back in 2015 that I'm putting on this album. Because it's like, it fits in, but it's like, there are also songs that I wrote like 3 or 4 months ago that's like, they all seem to fit and like with me. So like, the title of this album, I decided I'm gonna call it Confessions of a Transvestite. And it's like, if you're talking about a confessions album, you better be as raw and real and open as you've ever been. Like, those people who are like, even songwriters who like, I want to hold back. It's like, the holding back is very sort of like, it's going to be detrimental to you because it's like, yes, people love, it's like, yes, I always say you need a balance. Like, you need the fun songs and you need the like super like emotional ballad songs. You need both on the same album. You need both in the same set list. It's like, but if you just have one of like one side and one of the other side, that's why, like, I would say, for example, it's like, I am talking to the British person, so I know I might get some hate for saying this, but for me, I would never pay to see Adele because it's like, Adele is so like just ballad the whole time. Set Fire to the Rain, like these slow songs. It's like, that would put me to sleep. It's the same reason why when Whitney Houston was alive, I would have never seen Whitney Houston. That'd be boring to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, but the same reason that's also why I would never go to see Katy Perry because I feel like she's the other extreme where it's like it's all just fun songs and there's not really
Bubblegum.
like
Yeah,
anything there.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree with you on that. I do like a bit. I like a light and shade, and that's why I love. There's an album called It's a Character. Apparently, I mean, it could well be about her life, and maybe she's God in certain aspects. But called Electra Heart, the album is, and at the
Yeah.
time it was appreciated, but it's more of a cult classic now. So
Yeah.
it's like 10 years old, and it's I think the lowest. They love to the music sort of industry sort of publications loved to kind of try and shame her, going, oh, it's the lowest selling #1 that's ever happened. Bet you it's still #1. And it's amazing. And it's even now it's still getting those like rehashes of TikTok, and the label did ask her, will you re-release Bubblegum Bitch? And she went, no. It's good on it. She's like, no, no. Like, no, she's fully independent now. I'm so proud because I think that's what she needed. That total freedom to do whatever the heck she wanted. She came out around the same time as Ellie Goulding.
Yes.
They both tried to be seen. It's called BBC Introducing, which is our major corporate radio station. If you're not on it, you basically
Yes.
you don't get a hit. And Ellie Goulding won it, and Marina came second. And they are very different artists because you can tell which one let the machine run them, and which one went, nah, I'm out of this. I'm a millionairess because I'm me. And I love that vibe with her. It's not about showing off. It's about saying you don't necessarily need a big corporate behind you.
No.
People buy people. So
it's like, for example, like you said with Ellie Goulding basically like let the machine like use her, and it's like now look at where's Ellie Goulding?
yeah,
Nowhere. Like, so if you let that machine like chew you up and like spit you out, like
yeah,
that's why I would say one of the best people at doing the thing was like Gaga, because like she started with like the Fame, where like
yeah,
that was like the poppy album, and then like
yeah.
on the Fame Monster she started to get a little more serious, and then she put out Born This Way, and even like people were like trashing her, and she's like, she basically said like she's basically brushed them off, and then when she did Art Pop, everyone's like, this album's gonna flop, and she's basically like, fuck off, I want to make this album, and like
Yeah,
I love that. It's like that notion of everyone having to make like hits. Like to me, it's like, especially now, you make a hit, it's like great, you make a hit.
yeah,
With the way things are moving now, it's the one thing that pisses me off as an artist is that so many artists are making stuff for TikTok, which means they're making songs shorter than they ever have before.
don't I hate this? And then the branding, the original length of the song is an extended. It's not an extended. It's 4 minutes long. That's how long an extended is 10-20 minute remix, not a 4 minute song. And stop speeding them up and cutting out middle eights and cutting out ad libs. All the best bits of the song are being butchered.
Yeah. That's
For
why,
kids,
like,
for people with no attention spans, we've got to suffer. I want to listen to that full fucking song.
exactly. The one example that I always give to people, it's like, I like the song, but it's like, the one that I always use is Unholy by Sam Smith.
Yeah.
With that song, I look at that, I'm like, this song is not even 3 minutes long. What the fuck is Kim Petras doing here? It's like, so eventually it's like one of you does one verse, one of you does the other verse, you both combine on the chorus at the end of the song.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's nobody, especially like, and again, this is me being a little bit older. It's like, but who's owning the song? Nobody's owning the song if you're just basically sitting there and like at least on my view, it's like you're playing fucking tennis on the song. Like, serve, you're done. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
yeah.
It's like a bad lay. It's like a bad lay in bed. It's like, oh, is that it? It's like
Fucking
yeah, but
A.
bad sex.
It's like for me with that, I'll go with sex on this. It's like the guy who's like, oh, I can just come one time and that's it, and then we're done, and I have to make myself a sandwich. So it's like, so
Yeah.
you're expecting me to get ready because I primarily bottom, but I'm kind of versed now. So it's like, but with that, so you're expecting me to get ready for what?
Yeah.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, bitch. Even as
Yeah.
like,
We ain't doing
even
that. We ain't doing that. No.
even as like a top, when I have like bottoms riding my dick, it's like I can drop them one after the other after the other. It's like, come on, like wear my ass out. Like, let's both be tired and like just make out at the end of this. It's like,
Yeah.
let's do 15, 20 minutes. Come on, like.
I mean, at least you could play Sam Smith about 5 or 6 times in that time.
Yeah. See, that to me, like, that's how I am, baby. It's like, if you can keep on like dropping loads, let's keep on going. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need to, because especially it's like, at least for me, it's like when a guy can do that many times, that means he is super turned on by you. And it's like,
Yeah, definitely.
for my man who like we've known each other for like 5 years now, and it's like he can still go like that to this day. That makes me feel amazing because it's like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like you're still as turned on by me as the first day that we fucking met, and like that's beautiful. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know,
that's what it's about. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
pe-
goals. That's goals.
yeah, people who view like sex as a chore. That's why I will never get heterosexual people. Like women who are like, oh my god, I have to have sex with my husband. I'm like, you have to have sex with your husband? Like, what? Like,
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
I'm like,
I'm,
sorry, is he in now? Is he in now? Because if I'll have him if you don't want him.
yeah, it's like,
Ungrateful.
it's like at the end of the day when like some people are like, oh my god, my husband ran off with a man. Yeah, because you fucking gave up, bitch. That's why. He might not. He's
True
like,
story.
he was bisexual. He was bisexual when we started the relationship. It's like, again, you fucking gave up, bitch. That's why he ran off with somebody else.
It's true.
I know, this is why. See, I have no problem with being like raw and real. I feel like some people are so like, oh no, I can't believe you say that. That's why I tell people it's like, bar you saying like truly like racist things or like truly just like hateful things. Say
Yeah,
whatever the
then that's
say what
different. Yeah.
say whatever the fuck you want. Like,
Yeah. No, I
at the
agree. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm all for it. Like we're in a very snowflake sort of time at the minute where we're scared to even make a harmless joke and talk about. I'm not prude. I mean, it's real life is what it is. It's real life, you know. So
see, at the end of the day, I did this. I had a comedian on here last Sunday, and like basically, we were just saying how, especially like, if you look at, I would say like the comedy I grew up on, a lot of it now, it's like, yes, some of it I understand with political correctness. Some of it needed to go away, but there's some jokes where
yeah,
it's like, they're still as funny today as they were like, I don't know, 20 years ago. And it's like, I can still laugh. And it's like, the other thing that I always feel like people don't get why this is funny. I think ignorance is funny. When you hear somebody say like something so fucking stupid that you just sit there and you're like laughing so hard because it's like,
Yeah.
you literally just said that. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. Do you know what? I think we've definitely gone from, like you say, it's like there's definitely some humour that needed to go. But then
Yeah.
I think we've swung from one spectrum right over to the other. And it's like, now it's like the fun police. I mean, I won't mention the platforms, but I think my friend went to send me free laugh emojis over the video. I don't know if you've seen it on my Instagram, where the girl's singing to the cows. And and it said you've been censored for using offensive language in the community, this unsaid community. And I was like, for a laugh emoji, what is going on? Like the bots are absolutely annihilating any elements of happiness, laughter. Stop.
Exactly. Like, what is it? There's one time on Twitch, I was doing like a performance of my song that's gonna be on my album called Rape.
Yeah.
They literally almost as soon as I put up the video on TikTok, they muted the sound because they said it contained offensive language. I'm like, this is my story. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
because I have the gall to say the word rape, it's because, like, especially in society, there's so many people who are like, oh, I was this once, I was taken advantage of. It's like, I
Yeah.
am very much an advocate of saying to someone, it's like, if you were raped and you're telling your story, you need to say that you were raped.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
It's,
mean, what? It's a word. It's a word.
yeah,
It's not an offensive word. It's a
no,
factual word. It means something, and it means something serious. And it's like we're contradicting ourselves as humans. We're saying to people to speak out.
yeah.
Huh? Huh? If you're going to speak out, then let people speak.
It's because like even some of the like censorship, I will say this, like in terms of the UK,
Mm,
I will say the UK has some of the best standards for
yeah,
censorship. Like in the US, there's so many things that like if you say this word, and this is the thing, and this is to me, granted, I get why some people say this. On late night television in America, you cannot say the word fuck. I'm sorry.
mm,
At 11 o'clock at night, we're still worried about kids hearing stuff. It's 11 p.m.
they should
Like,
be in bed.
that's why when
That's
some
the
people,
parents' job.
yeah, it's like, granted, it's like, yes, if you don't want your kids to see stuff, keep it away from them. And then what they'll do is, if you keep the programs on, they'll sneak out and watch it when you're not home.
Yeah,
Much like as I did when I was a kid. I remember, okay. So what was it? Madonna's Drowned World Tour. My mom like recorded the HBO special on like VHS.
yeah.
Yes, I said VHS. I know I'm fucking old. Anyway. But it's
So
like yeah. But it's like I remember when I was like 12, she like went away and I went in and I like put it in the VCR and played it and like watched it and it like didn't warp me. I'm like, this is amazing. Like I know why my mom didn't want me to see it because it's like there was like anime sex in the middle of the fucking tour. It's like I understand why at 12 years old my mom didn't want me to see that, but it's like at the end of the day, especially now with the internet, it's like you can censor all you want with books. Let's get real. Kids are gonna watch porn at some point, especially gay kids
Yeah.
and queer kids. This is how they're learning about porn. And my response to that is, please meet a gay person. That is not real life. If you're fucking somebody like they do in porn,
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you're
I mean,
you're
it's
gonna
quite.
damage them. You're gonna damage them. Chances are.
You're right. I agree. I totally, totally agree with that. That's not reality. It's unrealistic.
But it's like, oh my god, it's supposed to last 30 minutes. I'm like, you don't understand that they filmed for like fucking 12 hours to get that like 30-minute scene. Well, the expensive studios, because I heard the cheap studios actually make you just like film for like 30 minutes and like they're done, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like safe. Anyway, so okay. Oh, so okay, I guess I'll ask this question. Who would be your dream like photographer to model for?
Oh, what question? Oh, I've actually never been asked this question before. Do you know what? I wouldn't even say I've got a particular. Because do you know what? I honestly prefer working with grassroots photographers, and people who just general people who do it. I've got people who've been doing photography for 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Who've done me shoots. I've had people who are new to it, and I think each person brings something different. Each person brings something different. I mean, I love French photography is great. If we're, from cultural stance, but I just think it's so hard to just put it on one person. But I also think a lot of photographers, they peak and trough, and it's just dependent on where they're at, I suppose. So for me, I don't judge by a name as such. I will literally go through portfolios and look at vibes and link in, because you know what? Honestly, I think Kylie Minogue was asked this recently, who's her favourite designer for making dresses and whatnot. And yes, she threw out a few names, but then she said, but I think it's really important to let new talent through. And there's some very younger
It's so true.
designers that are coming through that are brilliant, but they're not getting a light of day. But she's given them that avenue in, and I feel like this is my avenue in. Let's make it the other way round. Let's flip it round too. Do you get me?
Yeah, I mean, I would get that. Like, as I say, like, there are some photographers. It's like, granted, I am very grateful. I haven't had a chance to work with a photographer yet.
Yeah.
I am going to. I have a photographer who offered to like do my album cover. I'm like, of course. Like, at the end of the day, it's like I'm like, I have a concept for you. I'll come in with a concept, but it's like with that, I never really thought about modeling, but it's like I did sort of like an amateurish shoot. So like a few months ago, my drag sister like basically sat there and did like, so my makeup's very simple. Like I can get ready easily in about half an hour, but she wanted to like do me up, like really do me. Like we spent 3 hours doing makeup, and like I sat there and did like photo shoots with her, and I'm like, I like doing this. Like I don't hate this. Like, and that's where it said maybe. Like I'm never like opposed to trying new things, and like if modeling comes along, absolutely I would do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'd like to think that like kind of living proof here. There's no age. It's
exactly.
Just go with what feels right at that time. Like I'm finding the more I'm not putting sort of pressure on things, as things are flowing as they should, if that makes sense. I know that sounds a bit wishy-washy, but
right,
things are happening. organically because I'm willing to let them in. That's the main thing, is being open to opportunities, and they'll come when they're meant to.
Right. Okay. So now, speaking to the opportunities things, I don't have this question written down. I'll ask you this. So
Okay.
if you had the opportunity to work as a model in America, would you take it?
Yeah.
Okay. And the answer, I'm gonna flip this on its head, which is, would I, if I had the opportunity to perform in the UK, would I do it? Absolutely. Like, without a doubt. Like, if I had the money to, after I put out this album, I'd be like, let's go on tour.
Yes.
Which I love that. What people don't understand is, like, much like music videos, when people have asked me about that, music videos are expensive, tours are expensive. Like, if I could get some sugar daddy to fucking pay for me, I will gladly take his money.
Why not? Why not? Preferably
Would
techno.
well, this is the thing that I have always said to people, and this is my view on sugar daddies, like sex work as a whole. I am the person who's like, do I actively look for people to pay for me to do things, or like pay for me to have sex? No.
Mhm.
But if you're gonna offer me money, I'm gonna take it. Like, and
It's not just what happens in a relationship or marriage anyway. It's just dressed up in gifts.
that is so fucking.
But bitch, we get to pick what we want then. So you don't have to go, oh, I love that fucking hideous bag, thank you. You know.
It's so like
What?
this.
Why
This is
not? You
why.
know, like let's be real here. Let's be real. Is that not prostitution too? Because ultimately, how many
It's
couples would be together today? How many ask this question? I wonder how many relationships are actually business transactions these days. We're in a financial crisis. If you remove the beautiful home, if you remove the beautiful car and the holidays, would you still be with Bertie? That's what I want to ask. Or would she go, or he'd go, fuck this.
yes. It's like,
Come on.
with all of that, it's like, let's get real.
Yeah.
And even like when people talk about marriages and like talk about how young people nowadays don't get married.
No.
Newsflash. Have you looked outside at, like, granted, I don't know exactly how things are in the UK, but in America, it's like people can't afford to live
Let alone get
by
married.
by
Yeah.
themselves anymore. It's like you
Yeah.
need two incomes just to live in a household. It's like, and then all of a sudden you have these people who, especially for families, you want to throw this, like, what? Uh $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 fucking party for everyone to come here and like celebrate your love. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
that's why I literally say, like, if I'm getting married, it's like, you know what? As selfish as this is, it's like fuck off. I'm going to the courthouse. I'm gonna get married. Like,
Absolutely. Like my friend did the same, and she just went, "Fuck it, we're going to Vegas," and it was a quick in and
yeah,
out job. Why not?
because nobody can afford things. That's why I'm moving away. Like, I just had a job interview yesterday, and they said, "Why do you want to move to Detroit?" I'm like, "Because I can afford to live there." Like,
Absolutely.
it's it is so, like, granted, I don't know what apartments go for in the UK, but it's like
Mhm.
in Florida, at a minimum, for the, like, most run down, beat up apartment,
Mhm.
you're spending at a minimum $900. And I'm like,
Yeah.
to me, that's insane. It's like, I looked at a place I used to live. Let's see, back in 2016, and I was paying $700. They now charge $200 more for it for the same apartment that hasn't been redone. It's from the 70s. Like, the stuff
Yeah.
design is, and I'm
Vintage
like,
darling.
yeah, it's like this apartment's a piece of shit, and you're charging like that much. It blows my mind. That's why when people say, like, you see all these influencers online who are like, I'm living in this high rise, I'm living in this like apartment, and I'm spending $3,000 a month on rent. It's like,
Why?
it's a ha exactly, it's a house.
Yeah,
It's
you sleep
it's
there.
yeah. It's
Come
like
on,
you
come
sleep
on. Like,
there, you
what's the
eat
point?
there.
Like, I don't know. Like, if you've probably had this conversation before, in the UK, it's like the further down south you go, the more expensive. I'm north, of the UK. I'm
Yeah,
North England, northwest. So here, say for the two-bedroom apartment I'm in here, you could get
yeah,
this for 140, 150K, right? If that
yeah,
was down south, you'd be looking closer to 1 million. Um, if you were looking at renting here, even though it's beautiful, I'm in the most beautiful area in Liverpool.
yeah,
It's beautiful. And you'd be looking at, if I tried to use the same budget down south, that wouldn't even get me a bed box. It wouldn't get me a garage. It would be an absolute flea pit and a shithole. And I used to
yeah,
work in housing. I used to
yeah,
work in that industry. And you're meant to be grateful that you live in London. You're meant to be grateful. So I had to deal with poor tenants that had water dripping down light bulbs, rotten and damp everywhere. And they're like, but you're in London. Well, I'll give that a hard pass. You know, yes, London's got opportunities, but it's also saturated. And it is very, it's a do or die. I suppose
yeah,
it's the New York of the
yeah,
UK. You either make it or you tragically fail and lose everything and have to start again. If you are strong enough to do that, all
yeah.
power to you. If you've got the bank balance to do that, all power to you. If you are thinking bigger and think, well, I could spend my money better, then well done. To be honest, well done. You have to share bedrooms in London. I mean, how are you meant to masturbate?
So, and that's my thing. Like, I am very much the person who's like, I have never lived with a roommate. Like, right now, I am living with my dad. I can't stand it. It's like,
Yeah,
my view is like, in terms of living with somebody, if I'm living with you, we're fucking. Like, that's
yeah,
the that's the
yeah,
only way I want to. That's the only way I want to share with somebody. It's like,
yeah.
I don't want to like. And like, the sad thing is, that's why. And like, people think like, with to that, like, sort of like poorer living. I understand that. There was a time where my landlord refused to fix stuff when stuff broke. So like,
Hmm.
there was a time for like, what was it, 6 months? Like, how I was taking a shower was I had a bucket with a cup
Hmm.
of water underneath my tub because the water was leaking out. And he refused to come fix it. So I would take the water and like douse myself in water, and that's how I was living. And like, to me, in some ways, like, yes, that's terrible living in the UK. That's awful. But it's like, the one positive that I could say about that, at least the government gives you health insurance. They
True.
don't they don't
For
they don't
now,
fucking
for
they,
now,
yeah. It's
yeah,
like, the fact
we are
that
lucky.
we're in America in the year 2024 we are still having this debate. And it's like, people are like, the insurance company system is the way. I'm like, when you're sitting here paying $500 to $600 a month for some people, like when I had health insurance, I was paying $120 a month
Yeah.
just to have health insurance. And it's like, to me, it's like I'm having to pay to go see a doctor. Like,
Make it make sense.
I don't know. I always thought that, like, and this is why I'm anti-America. It's like
Yeah.
the
I think
government
that's
should
for me,
the
that's the
government
only
should take
thing.
care of you.
Do you know what? I mean, we can all say, I could be very blasé and go, well, I look after myself. What? That doesn't mean I'm not going to get hit by a bus or a car. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have an accident. I'm not that cocksure and
Yeah,
confident that something at some point in my life I'm going to need a hospital. I'm going to die one day. I'm going to become ill at some point. It shouldn't even be a question of, it should be a human right. It should be a human right. And nothing more said on that because it gets me so angry. I can't believe we live in a world where people have to look at their bank balance to just justify that their health matters. Oh, come on. Come on.
yeah, yes, it's that. Or my thing, especially in America, is like when people say we don't have the money, especially in America, it's like, I'm sorry, we have the money for, this is slightly political, but I don't fucking care. It's like, we have the money in America to give money to Israel to sit there and blow up people, which is what
Yeah,
they're doing. But
yeah,
we don't have enough money so that everyone can have health insurance and we can take people off of the street.
yeah,
Like, what are we talking about here? Like,
yeah, yeah.
uh, it's that's
It's just
why, like, when I look at
crazy.
people who say like judge sex workers and judge all this, and they're like, but they don't have to pay taxes. I'm like, and I look at it and I'm like, well, fuck, if I didn't have to pay taxes, I wouldn't either. Because it's like,
I
let's
agree. At the end of the
let
day, we're in a world where people need to survive, and I judge no one for doing that. You
no,
do what you've got to do to make it in this life, because
yes,
you know what? When all these things were going on in the UK, we were all told to stay at home. Look what our government were doing, having parties.
yeah,
Having parties with taxpayers' money. So let's face it, they
yeah,
look after themselves, so I'm all for it. You look after you. How you make your money is none of my business.
yeah. It's that's
Survival.
exactly that's exactly why. And people are like, but it's, first of all, when people say it's immoral, it's just, it's all this. It's like,
It's
if you
survival.
if you legalize prostitution, that doesn't mean that you have to go to a prostitute. It's much like when the whole gay marriage debate was up. Guess
Mhm.
what? If you don't want to marry a man and you're a
It's
man,
electing.
nobody's gonna fucking make you marry a man. It's like, second of all those people are like, I'm cool with gay people just as long as they don't hit on me. First of
Oh yeah,
all,
don't yeah,
first of
yeah.
all, I'm just gonna say this, like, and this is rude. It's always the person who looks like they were hit by a truck. That's the
Ah,
person who
like a
says that.
melted welly.
It,
Yeah, as
it's
we say.
it, it's like
Yeah,
it's like it's like, just because I want a man doesn't mean I'm desperate to get with every man. Like,
absolutely. Just because there's a dick attached to you doesn't mean I touch you with a shitty stick. It's the
yeah,
presumption of, oh, don't be getting any ideas. And you're like, I wouldn't touch you with a shitty stick. Like, I have standards. And the
it's
sheer
so like,
arrogance alone.
it's like, oh my god, people are so attracted to me. First of all, it's like, with that, it's like, first of all, it's like a lot of women are with you because they're taught by society that at some point they have to end up with a man.
Yeah,
If they had an option not to end up with you, maybe they would. What was that? I saw some person who said like people are turning lesbian. It's like no, just because every woman around you says they're a lesbian, that doesn't mean that they are a lesbian. That just means that they don't want to have sex with you and they don't want to be like, I'd
Yeah,
rather get
God
hit.
forbid.
I'd
Yeah,
rather
I
get
had
hit
this
by a bus than
conversation
fuck you. Like,
with one of my friends. Actually, we were talking about this earlier today. It's like, God forbid that you're not interested. Like, what's the matter if we hate your ego because someone doesn't fancy you? That makes them immediately a lesbian. Like,
no.
they could be, firstly, could be asexual, not even, because guess what? There's more to life than sex. I know that's a real surprise to some people in this day and age because we are in an era where sex
Yeah.
sells more than ever. At least Madonna did it clever. She did it with wit and intelligence and artistry. Whereas these days,
Well, okay. I will say this. She did it with wit and clever in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then she stopped. Because let's say, I will say this again, I'm a fan of Madonna, but it's like
yeah,
when you look at an album like Rebel Heart, that was just her trying to be like, I'm trying to be as sexual as possible. And
yeah,
it's like you're the age. It's like, don't get me wrong. That was the last era that I supported Madonna. It's like when
same,
Madonna when Madonna started looking like, again, to this whole youthful thing,
yeah,
Madonna stopped looking human at one point.
yeah,
She looked like a fucking alien. And like
yeah,
that to me, it's like, and everyone's like, that's just aging with plastic surgery. It's like, no,
no,
she did
no,
the wrong plastic surgery.
yeah,
Because if you look at Cher was older than Madonna. Cher looks amazing, and Cher always has. It's because she went to the right people, and she's still like, granted, I will say this, like, there are so many people obsessed with the like celebration tour, the tour that Madonna's on now. Everybody's going to see it. My thing is, I'm like, I would have gone to see Madonna in 2012.
yeah,
In 2015, I don't think I want to go see Madonna now. Like,
yeah. I think this has got to be a swan. This has got to be the swan tour now. It's more for a health. It's just like you've created this amazing legacy. It's like boom. It's okay to chill. It's actually okay to chill. Like
and it's because she's not a singer. If
yeah,
she was a singer, again, you look at Cher. Cher can probably tour for the rest of her life. And like nobody's gonna say anything because she can put on an amazing show. But at the end of the day, she can put on, like, I saw Cher in 2014. She was older than Madonna at that point.
yeah,
And or I think she might have been Madonna's age. I don't know. But it's like anyway, she could still put on a show, and it's like when you can sing, everybody's gonna still want to see you. That's why like Lady Gaga is gonna go a lot further in her career than
she's got
Katy
the
Perry is.
pipes
Yeah,
and the creativity. She's got the full package. So if she needs to sit down, she can.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
She's
I
doing.
see. Do you know what? I've never looked at it like that, but that is so true with Madonna. It's like she's trying to live up to an unrealistic. It's so worrying with the leg and the hip and everything. It's like you've you've just worn it out. You've worn it all out. And like you say, as the voice gets older, it becomes deeper. It becomes sometimes weaker. I mean, Cher has looked after her voice. Mariah not so
Yeah.
much. You know,
Oh.
it's so sad with Mariah because I literally grew up on her and
Well,
just I don't want to say nothing bad because I love Mariah. But
no.
it's so sad. It makes me want to cry when I hear her sing now because it's just she's totally worn out her voice. It's just yeah.
Mariah's not. Well, okay, I will say this. Mariah is okay when you look at the fact of like she sounds a lot better because like
Yeah.
I think if I'm doing the math on this correctly, she's around the same age now. Maybe she's a little bit younger than Whitney Houston was when she died. And
Yeah,
you look
54.
at and you look at when Whitney Houston died, she sounded terrible.
I know.
And there were so many people where it's like, she used to be the voice, and it's like, yes, I understand she was the voice at one point, but it's like, y'all gotta understand, it's like, to hold Whitney Houston as like the greatest standard as every singer ever, it's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, there's plenty more. You've got Mariah, you've got Celine, you've got I'm gonna go back to Anastasia. Anastasia is someone who's not talked about in those conversations, but
yeah, she's not given enough credit. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people, what was it? They say they look at her now and they're like, she can't hit the notes as well as she did. I'm thinking, yes,
This
she
woman's
can.
been through major cancer and surgeries. Like, that is a phenomenal woman right there.
She's had cancer twice, and and it's also the fact of going to the age thing. Anastasia's in her 60s. No, she's in her late 50s.
50s, yeah.
Yeah, late 50s. But it's like, yeah, her voice is going to change.
It's going to mature. Yeah.
It's like, I'm not looking forward to that day, because it's like, my voice kind of started out a little deeper, so it's like, I haven't really seen much, but it's like, much change, but it's like, it's hard. Like, that's why I say dancers and singers have it the hardest out of any other career out there, because it's like, eventually you push yourself. You're like, to do a Lady Gaga quote, she's like, she went club, another club, no sleep, get on a bus, go again, another club. Because it's like, that's how they treat you in the music industry. They just keep on like, do show after show after show after show. And it's like, if you're singing live, that takes toll on you. And it's like, you do stuff with your voice to like be entertaining and interesting. And it's like, it wears you out. But it's like, at the end of the day, your body ages. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, I look at even now, like, granted, it's only been like, it's been 10 years, but it's like, even in 10 years, almost, like, I'm about 9 now, but it's like, in 10 years, I can't perform the same way that I used to.
Yeah.
9 years ago. And it's like, that for me, it's like, that's the body aging, but it's like, I'm not gonna quit. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
And it's like, for me, it's like, when you give up, I will say this, as much as I love her, everyone who's like begging Britney to like put out new music, go back on tour, this is what I say to like huge mega Britney fans. I'm like, shoot lower. She said she doesn't want to perform anymore.
Leave her alone.
No. Get her to do the Super Bowl. Because it's like, the Super Bowl, it's something you prepare for a few months. She goes out there, she does 14 minutes, she's done.
Yeah.
That's one performance. I feel like you, as Britney fans, you could probably convince Britney to do that.
Well, Madonna wants to come on the stage, didn't she? And I think she declined. Obviously, I think it was more a polite offer than a serious offer. And I know Elton's obviously obviously kind of pushed her, but I do wonder whether that the track they did was some vocals that were previously done, because I know that they'd kind of played around with ideas prior to all the coming out of the conservatorship and stuff. So whether that's new vocals or not, we'll never know. I mean, we know that she uses quite a lot of ghost vocals anyway. I mean, most of Britney Jean was was like
Yeah.
a ghost
Yeah.
vocals, weren't it?
Yeah. That's exactly. Actually, speaking to Madonna, like when you hear Madonna sing live now, all you have to do is go back to her last album when she was at Eurovision and she did like a prayer.
Yeah.
And when you heard the raw vocals, not the one where like they went in on the YouTube video later and they mixed in some of the track to make it sound
I
good.
remember, yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, to that, it's because Madonna didn't take care of her voice. This is the thing, and
Which was average at best back then.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's because I don't know if Madonna did this. I'm gonna go to a newer singer, which is a newer-ish singer, Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
I say y'all better enjoy her now, because like, granted, yes, she stopped smoking weed, but back when she was smoking weed, that did irreversible, like, especially as much as she was doing, that did
Yeah.
irreversible damage to her voice. So she's gonna deteriorate a lot faster.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoy that artistry now, because in 10 years' time, that's probably going to be not very much left. Yeah.
I will say Gaga's like the one person who was able to like smoke weed and somehow was able to come out of it. And it's like, I think it's because she is that strict singer of like constantly working with the vocal coach. Like,
You can tell that she
yeah.
does continual work.
Yes. So
I
let's
actually
see.
think I prefer, as the years have gone on, I think her voice has evolved, not devolved. Like,
Yeah.
just phenomenal singer. She's really
Well,
put the work in.
yeah, it's because I look at what is it? Between like towards the end of like Born This Way and like Art Pop.
Mhm.
Or no. No, maybe, yeah. She started like taking, I think, musical theater lessons. And like that's how you could tell she improved, and it's was very evident when she did an album with Tony Bennett. And like
Yeah,
when she
she's
did both albums with Tony
a
Bennett.
total switch up. Sorry, just readjust myself.
Yeah.
It was a total switch up,
Yeah.
and a shock for a lot of maybe the mainstream monsters who weren't expecting that. It's a totally different side of a voice.
And it's like with that, it's like a true singer can do just about anything. I look at sometimes where I've done when I've auditioned for American Idol. I've done it a few times, and it's like they say, "Oh, you're this type of singer. You're a pop singer," and I'm like, "How dare you narrow me down into one category?" It's like,
Yeah,
with that, I look at I just went back and worked more, and it's like now it's like, can I sing every type of music? I would say yes. Can I do it all amazingly? No. But like you tend to stick in your lanes, but it's like my feeling is like if I want to do country music at some point, I'm gonna do country music. But with that, I will say that that's a very fine line. You look at like Beyonce, who like did this country album, and like I've said my piece. I love Beyonce. Don't get me wrong, I love Beyonce, but it's like to me, I don't get the like big obsession with Beyonce. I don't understand.
no, I don't either.
It's like when the gays are like, but she did so much for us, or she does so much for us. I'm like, but does she really? Like, where?
Yeah,
It's like,
what is it she's doing? Yeah, I still fail to see this. Other than being a fierce badass bitch, which is
Yeah.
fantastic for her. But
Yes.
as a community, for us, she's not. She doesn't scream gay icon to me, to be
No.
honest.
No. It's like, where was her born this way? Like, she
Uh,
didn't have one. Like,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
it's like,
phenomenal performer, great vocalist, but give me
yes.
Destiny's Child any day. I would have took a Destiny's Child album over that. But then, see, I love an underdog. So I absolutely wish that someone had given Michelle Williams some great material, because I love that her voice is so different. I love Kelly too. Um,
Yes.
I just think there's too much focus on Beyonce. She's a great vocalist, but I've heard better. Controversial, but cancel me. That's fine. I'm not bothered about.
See,
I'm worried. I'm not worried that Beehive's going to come after me. I'm just
no.
me. I'm not. You know what I mean?
See,
Not bothered.
see, music, it's very sensitive. Like, when you look at people who say, like, who to me is overrated, I will say this. I have no problem saying it. I love some of her music, but it's like,
Mm,
for me, it was almost the thing of like, granted, as I always tell people, if you had to stick me in a room and told me behind one door is Beyonce, behind one door is Taylor Swift, I'm gonna go see Beyonce, because like, to me, Taylor Swift is mediocre talent with like mediocre talent that gets praised for being mediocre talent. I'm like,
yeah, yeah. Nothing
I
particularly special.
no,
Yeah.
and it's like, if she
But
had
do you
this,
think
like,
people relate to her more? Maybe that's what it might be.
that's what it has to be. That's
Less
what it
about the
was.
talent and more about the relatability, or what they think they relate to.
Yeah,
People think,
it's like, with that, I mean, you look at it this way, like, Taylor Swift's like, first of all, she clearly doesn't care about her fans. I'm gonna say that just from like one example. She was in Brazil
mm,
I think it was like a month ago or like 2 months ago, and like, she was in at an outdoor arena. The
yeah,
temperature was like 140 degrees, and she performed outside, and like, there were people like passing out at her concert, and she still kept going. She had her fire effects on the stage still, which increased the temperature even more because it's fire.
yeah,
And it's like, at some point, you have to tell, as an artist, this would be me, as much as it would piss off people, I'd be like, look, if it's too hot outside, I'm going to cancel the show. Like, there is no point in sitting here having people pass out in an arena so that I can perform for the few fans that are still conscious. Like,
it's
I
true though. Yeah, it's true.
that's why like record labels would hate me, because it's like,
That's because of this, though, isn't it?
yeah, it's also, it's like people who like, I will say that kind of thing, if my voice is not up to par, which when you're singing live, let's get real, sometimes it's not,
Yeah,
and it's not your fault. It's like, you're 60, 70 cities in on like an 80, 90 city tour. Your voice may not be there
mm,
100%. And it's like, if you cancel for that, I understand it. It's like, so many people, and again, this is me like being older. It's like, well, why not just go up there and lip sync?
yeah.
No, no, like, I
No,
that's
no.
what
I
that's why
don't get
I
that.
yeah,
It's like anything. I mean, I run my club size classes and stuff like that. And I'm very big on mental health. And if
yeah,
I feel like I'm having a week where I need a mental rest, I'm absolutely okay with saying, guys, girls, I'm really sorry, but I am and I'm not. I'm sorry for letting you down, but I'm not sorry for looking after me. Then we both exchange the same attitude, and that's what I love with the community. I'll say, my heart's not in it this week. I need a breather. I could fake it, but for me, that's not being authentic, and it goes totally against everything I stand for. So I will say, I'm not prepared to put myself out on a stage and sing and push you and give you a performance as well as a fitness class, because quite frankly, I'm not there. I'm not in the mood for that. I need rest. And then I will move your tickets. I might lose money. So what? That's fine. I've got too much respect and integrity for myself to be not authentic to people. That's why people come to me, because I'm more authentic and they can relate, because I'm not perfect. Sometimes I do things incorrectly. Sometimes I'll sing down the mic and sound like Jerry Howell from the Spice Girls. Sometimes I might sound quite good, actually, being an ex-singer. Bloody hope so.
Yeah.
But I can't be all bells and whistles and perfect all the time. But if I know I'm going to be, if I'm below 80%, that class is getting cancelled, because I've got too much respect for my community and myself to put us through that, So
and it's like with you, it's like they're paying you. So like at the end of the day, it's like, yes, they're paying you, but it's like, would you rather get half of an experience and like, it's like, I'd rather give you all of me. And it's like, if you're gonna show up late, literally, I will say this. This is another thing to Madonna and why I'd never go see Madonna. First of all, especially now, you never know if Madonna's going to start on time. There have been multiple stories where she's supposed to go on stage at 8 p.m. and she goes on at 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it's like with that, it's like, she's like, I'm not being a diva. I'm doing all this. I'm like, she's like, I was having problems with this thing. I'm like, I'm sorry. You're doing rehearsal all day.
Yeah.
You're telling me it worked in rehearsal, but it didn't work an hour before you were supposed to go on stage? Like, if that's the problem, that's when you say to people,
yeah, don't come on stage with total disregard and go, I believe some of you had an issue with me. Listen, bitches. It's like, no, hang on. It doesn't matter how successful you are, how big you are. Have some damn fucking respect, because you wouldn't have all the things you have right now if it wasn't for your fans.
Yeah.
It's just total disrespect at this stage. And I can only give her so many free passes, because I do go, but at this point, I'm like, nah, that bitch, that ain't cool. Like, if she went, I'm an old woman, to be honest, and I'm falling to bitch right now. I'd have more respect for her for being bloody damn honest instead of going, don't tell me you were in glam just beforehand, because you should have done fucking glam 5 hours ago, my love. Time management, that's what you pay for your team. You pay tens of thousands of pounds for.
Yeah.
Come on.
Because it's like with that, it's like, do all that stuff. It's like, you're paying a glam team. You're paying all this. It's like, and if you don't show up on time, this is the thing. Like, I think even like Gaga's had times where she's like, been in the middle of the stage. She's been like, stop. She's like, and then she sits there and she's like, the stage is not working properly. I need to get off the stage for a few minutes. We'll come back on and perform. It's like, do that at least. It's like, if something's not working right, work through it. Like, I don't know. So anyway, where am I? Okay. So I've only got 3 more questions left, so I'm gonna bang them out. All right. So, what's your relationship to drugs and alcohol?
Ooh, that's a good, I love a juicy question. Okay, so really good question. Currently, Nothing. So I'm not one of those people that speaks like, oh, you should never do drink, you should never do drugs. I think for me, balance is key. And I don't say
Absolutely.
I'm never going to do something when I know there's a probability. If I'm in a club in Gran Canaria and I want a little
Right.
something, whether it's drink
Yeah.
or whether it's a little bit of substance, and I feel safe in the environment I'm in, then so be it. Okay. Um, Currently, I'm not the biggest drinker. I think the last
Yeah.
time I had a drink, I'm just with my friend Kim actually. So probably January, wasn't it? Yeah. January was my birthday, and I did drink copious amounts, and I had a fantastic time. That's not to say in the past that I didn't do all them things more often.
Right.
So yeah, I think for me, it's more about what's the benefit? Do I want to do it? Is there a point to why I'm doing it? I'm at that stage now where I can take a leave. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can take
And
a leave
and
it.
and see, I'm gonna say this much. As a British person, I find that answer shocking. No, no, but it's like for me, I get that because it's like in terms of me, I'm kind of the same way now. It's like I
Yeah,
had a drink. What was it? I had a couple drinks like 2 weeks ago, and then like before that, it had been 5, 6 months since I had had a drink before that, and it's like,
same as me then, pretty
yeah,
much. Yeah, yeah,
but it's like I definitely don't drink when I perform because there was a night. I always say this to anyone out there who's like, and I know this isn't customary in the UK typically, but it's like if you're in America, it's like if and you're seeing a performer perform, give them money, don't buy them drinks. Like because I had a night where I was getting handed drink after drink after drink after drink. I had 5 drinks and I had a shot that night. And then I got in my car and I drove an hour home. And then about 45 minutes, I had to drive an hour home. And about 45 minutes into the drive, I got pulled over by a cop. And luckily, my dad came and saved my ass. Otherwise, I would have gotten a DUI. So it's like, for me, that was kind of like a wake up moment where it's like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
but it's like, can I drink now? Yes. But it's like, also, especially like, there's something to being the sober one in the room
mm,
where it's like, you see all of these people like, let's get real. A lot of people get drunk and act like idiots. Like,
yeah,
and it's like, I had someone who literally, I had this drag queen who had shit talked my drag behind my back. I showed up at an event out of drag. She was drunk off her ass. She didn't know who I was, and she started hitting on me. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, you drunk ass fucking bitch. I wanted to be like, bitch, you know who the fuck I am. But I didn't because I let her do it because I thought it was funny. Because I'm like, this is so funny to me. And like,
it is quite
I've,
amusing to sit back and observe, isn't it? Because especially when people presume that you're also drunk and you think, oh, bitch, I'm onto you. Like, you see certain like behaviors and
yeah,
people, and I'm just like, I can see you, I can hear you, I'm taking all in. I'll let you think I'm drinking, but and it's also a great way of detecting bullshit as well. It really is. So
totally.
it's quite fun being the sober one in the room. I mean, sometimes it might start that way. I actually prefer not to plan to drink, to plan.
Yeah,
Um, if it happens sporadically because I'm enjoying the vibe of the people I'm around, that's great.
yeah,
But I often find those nights usually end in tears when you try and overplan them. Yeah. It's
yeah.
usually someone else's tears, not mine. It's usually me going, it's all right, and someone's snotting all over me. So I'm not here to babysit. None of that.
Mm, I've had a situation like that once. It was one night where I was sober, and it's like I was the drag queen in the. Because this is the thing. I will say this. I am very approachable as a drag queen. Like, The one thing that I will say is treat me with respect.
Yeah.
Do not touch my fucking hair without asking me.
Yeah.
Because I had, again, performing. It's like, this is the thing. A lot of drag queens, like, when they're doing the, like, flips and splits and kicks and everything, their wigs are, like, bobby pinned into their head.
Yeah.
My wig's just sitting on my head because it's like, let's get real. I'm singing live. I know how much my head's going to move. I know I'm not going to be jumping. I'm fucking singing. Like, I'm going to be standing on the ground. I'm going to be dancing, moving, all this stuff. But anyway. So I had some drunk motherfucker be like, I want to see you without your wig. And just.
Fucking disrespect of it.
Yeah. And part of me, I remains very, very calm. Because I'm like, baby, you got me on a good night. Because if not,
Oh, we just drop kicked you. Yeah.
The shoe would be coming off my foot and it'd be going right upside your head. Because I don't, like, I love it. I love being with people. It's like, my thing is, don't do that. And don't stop and ask me to take a picture when I'm in the middle of performing if I'm in a place without a stage. That's my other thing. Because I've had that happen before too. And it's like, you have to sit the. Luckily, I was doing, what song was it? I was doing Do What You Want by Lady Gaga to, like, end a set. And, like, luckily that song has a little bit of an instrumental intro before you have to start singing. So I was like, I sat there, like, smiled, cheese, and then it had to go, like, ha, and just, like, go right in. And, like, to me, that kind of shit throws you off when you're performing. And it's like,
yeah.
It's like you're already thinking enough when you perform because you try not to get too in your head, but it's like, but you have to be in your head.
Exactly.
Because
I get that.
Everything can go wrong. And it's, for me, it's like, I try and be calm and, like, overall. Anyway, I'm not going to get into this too much. This is going to go in the last question. So, So what are your thoughts on how the LGBT community is being treated today?
How it's being treated in general, or?
Yes.
Oh, broad question. It's funny because I was talking about this quite recently. I mean, obviously, there's so much variance no matter where you go. It's it's probably too broad a question for me to answer quickly. But what I was talking about, funny enough, again, I mean, I'm not scared to kind of voice thoughts. It's not even an opinion as such, it's more a thought process. Is that we talk about community a lot. And this is really being right out there. But sometimes I do ask myself, what community? Because I, as a gay man, don't feel part of any community, if I'm honest. I think the word can be tossed around so easily, but sometimes I feel as though instead of creating a unified front and be together, we create micro segregations within a community. And it's like, my course is more important than yours, your course is more important than mine, or let's do gay pride and let's all just fuck and forget what we're all here for. It's all a little bit become, everything feels very watered down. And like, I'm a great sort of believer in like getting to a stage where it shouldn't be an issue, but it is, let's face it, in a lot of places. And I'm all for doing stuff, but I do everything I do with passion. Those things I don't need to do in a crop top. I mean, I can do that at home, can't I? I just feel like things get lost in translation, if that makes sense. Not very much is actually done. So I went to a Pride event last year, and I won't go into it too much, but I just felt I actually came back the third night in from this Pride week, and I cried. And I sat in the room with my friends and I cried, and I went, I feel so not part of any of this. I was like, I just don't fit into it. I don't understand it. Like, I feel more alone and invisible here than I do living my everyday life. And isn't it meant to have the opposite effect? It just felt like it wasn't real. And I was like, I just felt like, I don't know, a non-entity, which was not what I wanted to feel like. Bit of a broad one to end on, I'm sorry, but that's just my general thought on it.
I can, first of all, I will say this. I know where you're coming from. I can hear where you're coming from. And it's like, with that, it's because as a community, and I'm going to say this, it's because to the sexualization of stuff, and I've never said this before, but it's so true. And like, I would honestly say I'm not much better. So it's like, I'm a little bit guilty of it myself. As a community, we spend so much time uplifting people who just sexualize themselves, are just half naked on Instagram. And we just spend so much time just like praising them for everything that we're not focusing on actual artistry. It's
Absolutely.
like we're not focusing on actual queer artists who are out here making stuff. And it's like, granted, I understand that. This is why I always say this is why I try and bring people here. Because this gives people a chance to see not the side that they're used to seeing on Instagram all the time. They're always used to seeing them in pictures. Literally, as I always tell guests, I don't tell guests how to dress on here. Like, if people want to show up here in nothing more than like a like little vest and like no shirt underneath, they can show up like that. If people want to show up in like what you're wearing, they can show up like that. If somebody wants to show me their ass when they're done, like there, and that's how they want to end their interview, I'm not going to stop people from acting like themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, with all this, it's like, I want to humanize people, because it's like, to me, anyone I look at, they're more than just what they're known for. It's like, if you see somebody as like a stripper, to me, they're more than just a stripper. And it's like,
it's human.
They're humans. And I'm going to be the one to fight there for the simple right of, I will say this is something I fought for, and it's something I agree with. The fact that when strippers go to perform, I mean, granted, you don't have these in the UK, so it's like, I will say this. In America, when you see all these people like sitting there like twerking on the pole and like dancing and like making all this money, a lot of them have to pay to be there. And to me, it's like, you, the owner of the bar, can't afford to pay this person who's entertaining people in your bar fucking minimum wage. Instead, you're making them pay money to be there to entertain your people who are getting drinks from you.
Make it make sense.
Yeah. To me, that says you can't afford to have these people there. And in which case, you shouldn't be in business.
Yeah, totally. No, totally. It's like people come to me with business opportunities in the fitness industry, and I laugh. And they'll go, "Oh, we'd really love to have your club size class." And they go, "Oh, would you? That's nice. Let's talk figures." And they go, "Oh, it's a flat rate of £18." And I go, "Oh no, we don't work for £18. I'm sorry about that. Absolutely not. Like, I charge per ticket per person in my class. I could have a really good week and make £200-300 for 1 hour. This bitch ain't about to work for 18 fucking pounds. I'm not a child. I'm a seasoned performer, a dancer since I was 5, and I'm fucking damn good at what I do and the community I've created. You can't afford me. You know what I mean? It's why I don't work for a corporate gym. So, hello if you're watching, by the way, corporate gym.
See, I would feel like,
Sorry, not sorry.
yeah, no, I get that, and it's like, and first of all, when you work for a corporate gym,
Mhm.
a lot of times, at least I've heard this from people, it's almost like you have to become a salesman to
Yeah,
like go out there and sell people on classes. It's like if
to
people
make
like
their
your
money,
classes,
to make
yeah,
their money, and then
yeah,
they tell you how to spend your money when they're paying you a shit salary. And that's why I don't work for the unknown,
yeah.
unnamed company anymore. And that's why I'm the fucking motherfucking CEO of my life. I call the shots now.
That's why, and like to this, like as I said before, when people say like, "Oh, it's gonna cost me this, it's gonna cost you this much to get me," and it's like with that, it's like I'm sorry, especially in my view, it's like I've interviewed winners of fucking shows, like of fucking TV
Yeah,
shows, and
yeah,
haven't paid them a dime. And you're gonna
yeah.
sit here and tell me that you, who finished in fourth place, deserves my money? Fuck off. Like fuck all the way off. Like I've interviewed the winner. Like,
Yeah, just enjoy it for what it is. A bloody
yeah,
great conversation. Like,
yeah. It's like, and to me, it's like if I did that, I would have to sit there and be like, I don't feel I could be as open as I am with people. It's like, because if I'm paying you to be here, you're obviously not going to care about being here. You're going to treat
you're
this
not there
like,
because you want to be there. You're there because you're being paid. Let's be real.
and
Yeah, I'm here because I
yeah,
want to be here. And I've
yes,
been looking forward to talking to you. So
yes,
I'm here. I've
yes,
literally, I've not stopped all day. I've not even eaten yet. And I was
yes.
like, that's okay. I can eat in a bit. I want to
Okay.
do this. Do you know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes,
So,
totally. And I'm just going to answer this question because I know we've been on here a while. So to wrap up, what I thought in the LGBT community, it's I've said a lot. I feel like our our focus overall, if we are a community, we need to focus on countries in the Middle East where
100%.
people
Yeah,
are just getting dying for being gay. Like,
that's where the focus really needs to go.
yeah,
But not just, we need to collectively as a community be a fucking community for starters and do
yeah,
better. We need to do better and help people who need the help, who are dying, not people who are like, oh, I mean, yes, of course we want equality, we want
yeah,
gay marriage and stuff like that, but some people want their lives. I worked in asylum in my last role, and I went out of my way and was told, I'm going to say this, it doesn't matter because I'm not saying anything out of turn here, but
yeah,
for like people like you were, fleeing homophobic violence and potential death penalties. And I'm being
yes,
told to hurry them people along because there's other people waiting to be dealt with. Like these, this is this is like humanity. Like, come on. And don't get me wrong. It's I was like, well, listen, I'm going to create a folder for people who are, I did a bit of research, and especially what you just said with the Middle East,
yeah,
and I created this care pack. And now I'm not paid to do that, but you know what? My conscience, I could sleep at night knowing that might be my little, that could be a little bit of hope, a little speck of hope to someone. Someone actually messaged me and said,
yeah,
I was praying for you to call me. And literally, when you just feel that pull there, he's like, and the phone rang and it was you. And I'm so glad. And he started speaking and told me, and I was like, I'm a gay man. I'm probably the best person for you to speak to right now anyway. So, we don't have an LGBTQ team, but I just
yeah,
happen to have all those contacts rightly
yeah,
available for you now. I'm going to send them. And I stayed after my shift. I was still paid the same pitiful wage. I was still told that my call was too long. But
Yeah.
I slept at night knowing that I'd helped that person. They emailed me back the next day and said, I feel
Yes.
like I've got a glimmer of hope. And that for me, let's give people hope. If we can't give
Yeah.
them the solution, at least give them some hope.
Like, this reminds me of a time, and people thought I was crazy. Like, there were times when I used to have like my own apartment where I used to take in homeless people, and people were like,
Yeah.
why would you? They're like, that's dangerous. I'm like, I'm thinking, this is the thing that I always tell people. I'm like, you are the people who bloody fucking call yourselves Christians. And isn't that what Jesus would have done in the Bible? Jesus would have taken in a homeless person and not left them on the street. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like, listen, I was safe. I gave them a place to sleep at night. They left in my house in the morning. They came back at night. And it's like, for me, it's like, that to me seems obvious. Like, this thing of people being afraid to help people and people thinking that, oh, I'm going to give this person money. That's
Yeah.
enough. I give $20 to this fund. That'll
It's a
be fine. It's
temporary
like,
solution, that isn't it?
yeah,
That's just temporary. That doesn't actually fix anything.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's,
That's almost an ease of guilt, I think. Sometimes as humans, we think that we feel better in that moment, but that shouldn't be the goal. The goal is so much
yes,
more bigger than that. It's quite deep,
exactly.
but yeah, there's a pound. Well done. What about? I've got a contact here. Actually, these help. If you share knowledge is power. People sometimes
Yes,
think they hold the cards by keeping their knowledge. I think very much the opposite way around. I think collaboration's everything. Sharing knowledge is everything. Um, you can
it's,
help people just through that. So
yeah,
much.
it's so true. And finally, to the last question. No, the last question.
Yeah.
What's the biggest misconception about you?
Oh, biggest misconception. Oh wow. I don't know. I think definitely for someone who maybe would see me on social medias, or maybe met me out and then being pleasantly surprised is again judging me from maybe the post
Yeah.
pictures that they might maybe
Yes.
think there's not much behind here. But
Yes.
I've actually got a massive fucking heart. I really do. And I'm a big lover when it comes to looking after the people who matter most to me.
Yes.
So I think I can come across I think we all can, is a little two-dimensional, but I'm absolutely the opposite. I mean, I've
Yeah.
probably got more sides than a hectagon, to be honest.
Yes.
I'd like to think. So yeah.
See, I will say this. Like, this is what I always like to say before I answer this question. I never know. Like, I know sometimes with people, but it's like, I never really know until I sit down with a person and do the interview how it's going to go. And it's like, at least from like the like almost 2.5 hours we spent together,
Yeah.
I find you very sweet. Like,
Thank you.
you're welcome. And it's like, it's the thing of, for me, I'll go with the two that I get told. One of them is that I'm intimidating, which, hmm, I mean, I get it because it's the thing.
Yeah.
I am not a small person. I'm not even gonna try and put this in metric. Yes, I know the United States has their own measurement system, and it's not like the rest of the world. Don't get me started on that. Like, but it's like I am a very tall person, so like, if you come up to me, it's like, yes, I'm very intimidating to come up to, but it's like, have a conversation with me. It's like, granted, yes, I'm usually wearing sunglasses. That's my brand. I don't wear these. These are like some of my interview glasses. I have a pair. They're a pair of my mom's that I wear when I perform on stage. And it's like, since she never lives to see me perform, it's like I take her energy with me every time I perform. And that allows me to like be this like giant burst of light. So it's like, yes, I'm wearing dark sunglasses inside, usually at night. But it's like, overall, again, have a conversation with me.
Yeah,
I'm very,
absolutely. Do
I'm
you know
very,
what? Those sort of most of my close friendships have actually, I always say this, is sometimes the people who either found me a little bit scary to approach, or even I found that, or I call them the slow burner. It's almost treating the friendship like you would with a relationship, or a totally platonic one, is
yeah,
getting to the point where you introduce into that slow burner, the ones that are still here 5 years, 10 years, 15 years later. Those people who are
yeah.
like, oh, babe, are the ones that I'm like, eep, 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 like keep away. Like, honestly, some
See,
of the most misunderstood people in my life are the people who are most dear to me, actually. And I think maybe because they are more fierce and independent, it can be. I think I can be intimidating to people, and I can see how that you could have that effect as well. But that's exactly why I wanted to come on tonight, because I think you're fucking amazing. So I
yeah,
actually vibe off that. I vibe.
yeah.
I love and live for that. But then that's maybe because of where my head's at, because I appreciate it.
It's very much, I would also say that thing that you said, it's very much the entertainment industry because it's like a lot of people are only in things for themselves. And like, as as an interviewer, it's like, yes, I understand when I do an interview with somebody, it helps me, but it also helps them. But it's like with
Yeah,
that, it's like I'm sitting here, it's like I'm not trying to just uplift me, I'm trying to uplift you as well. Like, that's why a lot of times, like, granted, I've been kind of busy, so I don't do it as much, but when I can, I'm sitting there like, even after people have been guests on my program like months later, I'll still promote their shit because it's like, hey, if you're in this area, go check this person out. Like,
absolutely. Yeah,
go check out my friend because it's like, at the end of the day, it's like I want to see people succeed. Like, everyone
me
who's
too.
on here, I want to see people succeed. I don't want to see y'all fail. Like, it's for me,
Yeah,
that's honestly how I am. And it's like, it kind of leads me that I always say the intimidating one kind of goes with this other one, which is that I've been told I'm shady. Which, first of all, I'm gonna put point A. Point A, what drag queen really isn't? And point B, I'm sorry if having an opinion and like telling you my opinion is shade. For me, it's like I'm trying to be helpful. I'm trying to be honest with you.
absolutely. Yeah,
I don't want you to like, because I will say this, going back to what we said before, I would much rather be the person you consider a bitch for telling you that you're not talented to stop you from making an ass of yourself in front of
absolutely.
public
Absolutely agree with you.
than be the person who's supporting you behind the scenes and
Yeah,
just,
absolutely. No, I'm with you on this. Honesty is
yeah,
the best policy for me. And sometimes you don't like what you hear. That's okay. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah, sometimes you don't like what you hear, and that's just the way it goes. Um, it is, but I think I'd rather someone tell me the truth than allow me to look an idiot. And that's the thing
yeah,
is, I think it's important if you're going to be honest with people that you also need to be able to take the honesty as well. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be able to take. As the saying goes, if you can't take it, don't dish it.
yeah.
Like, totally.
And it's like with that, it's like, first of all, it's like to the shade thing, it's like, let's get real. Y'all are
Yeah,
saying that you hate people who are shady. The challenge you all love on RuPaul's Drag Race the most is the reading challenge. Let's get real. Like, stop with
is
the
that not?
bullshit.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, so just grabbing my coffee. Yeah, no,
Anyway.
absolutely.
I get you. First of all, I get you. Yeah, I try not to drink on camera either. That's why I started before. But it's like, it's
Gotta
over
be
2.5 hours. I get you.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, with that being said, it was a pleasure getting to meet you.
You too.
Yes, love that. And with that being said, this is Gay Out the City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and I hope you've enjoyed.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.